In the intricate dance of love and desire, where passion ignites like wildfire and ambition blurs the boundaries of morality, lies a tale of forbidden attraction, raw ambition, and unbridled yearning, a story where hearts betray their promises, bodies become tools of advancement, and dreams of success fuel the flames of indulgence. But before we dive into this thrilling narrative, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It's your support that drives me to create more stories like this. Now, let's immerse ourselves in a tale that will captivate your imagination and leave you questioning the price of ambition and the true nature of desire. I still remember the first day I saw him. Mr. Michael was my boss. Michael wasn't just any boss. Michael was the kind of man who made heads turn the moment Michael walked into a room. Tall and commanding, his presence exuded authority and confidence. Michael always dressed impeccably, his sharp suits tailored to perfection, emphasizing a figure that seemed carved from ambition. There was a quiet magnetism about him, an effortless charm that pulled people in, whether they realized it or not. For me, it was instantaneous, a force I couldn't resist. That time, I had been working at the company for only a few months. Though I was confident in my abilities and knew I was good at my job, I found myself yearning for more. I craved recognition, a promotion, a raise, anything that signaled I was moving forward. But in a workplace as competitive as ours, such opportunities didn't just fall into your lap. To rise above the crowd, you had to either stand out as exceptional or ensure that you were noticed. I decided I would aim to be both. Initially, I approached my strategy with caution, determined to keep everything professional. I didn't want to appear overly eager or desperate, so I tread lightly. Subtlety became my weapon of choice. I began by paying attention to the details of my appearance. My wardrobe, already polished, became even more intentional. I chose outfits that were both professional and flattering, clothes that fit me perfectly without crossing the line into overt boldness. It was a delicate balance. I wanted to stand out but not draw undue attention. One morning, I spritzed on a new perfume, a soft, sweet fragrance that lingered delicately in the air. Like a whisper, I imagined it wrapping around him when I passed by, leaving a trace that would tug at his memory later. It was a small thing, almost imperceptible, but it felt like planting a seed. I hoped Michael'd catch the scent and think of me, even if only fleetingly. Then there were the smiles. Not the polite, detached ones you offer a colleague, but something warmer, tinged with just enough mystery to leave him guessing. Every time I passed him in the hallway, I let my gaze linger a second longer, my smile soft but deliberate. I began to notice that Michael would glance back, his eyes holding mine for a beat too long. That's when I realized my plan was working. In meetings, I made it a point to engage him. I'd ask thoughtful questions, sometimes ones I already knew the answers to, just to hear his voice, to keep his attention on me. There was something intoxicating about the way he responded, his tone shifting slightly, almost imperceptibly, when addressing me. When I had the chance, I'd visit his office, armed with a reason, a question about a project or an update on a minor issue. Sometimes, the reasons were thinly veiled excuses, but they were enough to keep our conversations going. Each time I left his office, I felt the gap between us narrowing, little by little. I could sense his interest growing. Michael would steal glances when Michael thought I wasn't looking, his gaze lingering just a fraction too long. His voice softened when Michael spoke to me, his words laced with something unspoken. It was subtle, almost imperceptible to anyone else, but to me, it was crystal clear. I was under his skin, and Michael was beginning to notice me in a way that went beyond professionalism. One particular moment stands out vividly. We were in a meeting, surrounded by colleagues, and I glanced up to find his eyes fixed on me. His gaze was intense, unwavering, and for a second, it felt as though the world around us had fallen away. When Michael realized I'd caught him staring, Michael quickly looked away, but the moment lingered. That look told me everything I needed to know. I had captured his attention in a way that was no longer casual or fleeting. There was a thrill in knowing I had shifted the dynamic. The power I felt was intoxicating, a mix of confidence and excitement that urged me to push further. I became bolder, my gestures and signals more deliberate. Every interaction became a chess move, calculated to draw him in while maintaining the illusion of professionalism. Finally, after weeks of careful maneuvering, Michael made the first move. It was a quiet afternoon when Michael stopped by my desk. His demeanor was calm, almost casual, but I could sense the undercurrent of nerves beneath his polished exterior. Michael asked if I'd be interested in joining him for dinner to discuss a new project Michael believed I'd be perfect for. His words were measured, his tone professional, but there was a softness in his voice, a slight hesitation that betrayed his true intentions. This wasn't just about work, and we both knew it. Inside, a rush of triumph surged through me. Everything I'd done, the glances, the smiles, the subtle touches had led to this moment. I kept my expression composed, my tone neutral, but I allowed a small, knowing smile to escape. I agreed, framing it as a chance to discuss career growth and opportunities. Beneath the surface, though, I knew this dinner was far more significant than it appeared. That Friday night, we met at a quiet, upscale hotel. The restaurant was tucked away from prying eyes, the ambience intimate and discreet. Michael had reserved a private room, a space that felt removed from the bustling world outside. The lighting was dim, casting a soft glow that added an air of mystery. The faint strains of music played in the background, and the atmosphere hummed with anticipation. Michael looked as composed as ever, but I could see the tension in his posture, the slight nervousness in his eyes. As we sat down, the conversation began with pleasantries and work-related topics, but there was an unspoken energy between us, a charged undercurrent that neither of us acknowledged but both felt. His eyes lingered on mine longer than necessary, his voice softening as the evening progressed. With every passing moment, the boundaries between us blurred further, and I knew we had crossed into new territory. That night, the game I had carefully played reached its climax, and I realized just how far I'd come. The balance of power had shifted, and for the first time, felt like I was in complete control. It was exhilarating, and I couldn't wait to see what would happen next. His hands fidgeted slightly, the subtle tremor betraying the calm facade Michael was struggling to maintain. His eyes darted around the room, never settling on me for long, as though searching for some invisible anchor to steady himself. It was almost endearing, almost. The way Michael kept glancing away told me everything I needed to know. Michael was wrestling with something, unsure of how to navigate whatever the night might bring. I leaned forward, just enough to draw his attention back to me, letting a soft smile play across my lips. The gesture was calculated but appeared effortless, the kind of movement that suggested I was completely at ease. I wanted him to know that I saw through his nervous energy. This wasn't a casual dinner, and it certainly wasn't about work. We both understood that there was something unspoken lingering between us, thickening the air with tension, but I wasn't going to make it easy for him. I wanted him to feel the weight of every unsaid word, to squirm under the pressure of his own thoughts. I watched him carefully, noting every shift in his demeanor. His gaze flickered from my face to his glass, then back again, his fingers tracing absent circles along the rim of his drink. Michael was trying to appear composed, but the subtle hesitations in his movements betrayed him. Michael was caught in the space between his attraction to me and his need to maintain some semblance of professionalism. The struggle was written all over him, and I couldn't help but find it fascinating. The conversation drifted over light topics, movies, recent news, and vague mentions of upcoming projects. I kept my tone breezy, allowing just enough warmth to draw him closer without giving him the satisfaction of certainty. Every now and then, I would tilt my head slightly or let my laughter linger, small gestures that felt natural but were meticulously placed. I wanted to see how far Michael would go to bridge the gap, to chase what Michael thought Michael wanted. Each glance, each pause, each subtle shift in his body language became part of a game I was firmly in control of. The thrill of it coursed through me, and by the time the night wore on, it was clear I was winning. His confidence, once tentative, began to falter as Michael realized I wasn't as easy to read as Michael had hoped. Yet, Michael was hooked, drawn deeper into the web I had spun. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Michael made his move. His hand, tentative yet deliberate, reached across the table, the faintest tremor in his fingers betraying his nerves. Michael brushed against my hand lightly, as though testing the waters. I let the moment stretch, allowing a flicker of hesitation to dance across my face. It was all part of the plan, letting him believe Michael had the upper hand, that Michael was convincing me to let down my guard. Slowly, I let my hand rest in his, feeling the tension melt away from his posture as relief and excitement flickered across his expression. Michael took it as the sign Michael needed, gently pulling me closer, his confidence bolstered by the illusion that Michael was in control. The energy between us shifted as the evening progressed. We were no longer two colleagues sharing dinner. We were something far more intimate, caught in a moment that felt both fragile and electric. Michael leaned in closer, his voice softening as his words became more personal. I matched his energy, allowing him to feel as though Michael were leading, all the while knowing it was me who had orchestrated every detail of this night. Eventually, the unspoken tension gave way to action. His movements grew bolder, his breathing quickening as Michael reached for me with a mix of eagerness and caution. When we found ourselves in the privacy of his bedroom, his composure crumbled entirely. His hands fumbled with his shirt buttons and tie, his urgency making him clumsy. I stood back, watching with a faint smile as Michael unraveled, completely captivated by the moment. Michael was too caught up in his desire to realize how seamlessly Michael was falling into my plan. The power shift was subtle but undeniable. Michael thought Michael was leading, guiding the night's events. But in truth, Michael was merely a player in the scenario I had crafted. When the night ended and Michael drifted into a deep sleep, his face softened by exhaustion and contentment, I seized my moment, reaching for my phone. I adjusted the angle carefully, ensuring that every detail was captured. The recording was clear, precise, and indisputable, a testament to my foresight. The next morning, I woke with a sense of clarity. The night had been more than just a fleeting indulgence. It was a calculated step in a larger plan. When Michael nervously suggested we forget the night ever happened and move on, I stopped him mid-sentence. Locking eyes with him, I spoke with measured confidence. "If you want me to stay quiet about everything," I said, "you'll have to give me something in return." His face went pale, his eyes widening as Michael realized the implications of my words. "What do you mean?" Michael stammered, though I could see understanding dawning behind his panic. I explained calmly. Clearly, a promotion, a step up in my career, was the price of my silence. The stakes were clear. Michael could either comply or risk everything: his reputation, his career, and the carefully built life he cherished. After a long, tense pause, Michael agreed, his voice tight with resignation. By the end of the week, I held the promotion letter in my hands, the tangible proof of my success. My salary had increased, and with it came new responsibilities and opportunities that I was eager to embrace. The feeling of triumph was intoxicating, a rush of empowerment that left me exhilarated. In the days that followed, our interactions at work remained strictly professional. To anyone observing, we were nothing more than colleagues. But beneath the surface, I knew the truth. I had turned the situation to my advantage, claiming a victory that was as much about power as it was about ambition. The experience had changed me, teaching me the value of control and the importance of playing the long game. And as I moved forward in my career, I carried with me the confidence that I could shape my future, one calculated move at a time. We discussed projects and deadlines, yet the tension in the air was palpable whenever we were alone. It lingered like an unspoken truth, a silent force that tethered us together in ways neither of us would openly admit. His lingering stares, those fleeting, weighty glances, spoke volumes, each one conveying more than words ever could. And yet, there was a nervous energy about him, a subtle unease that betrayed his efforts to maintain composure. I could see it clearly, the way he treaded carefully around me, as though every word and action were measured to avoid exposing how much our secret haunted him. It wasn't just a secret, it was the secret. a truth Michael wished would remain forever buried. Yet every time his eyes met mine, it was a stark reminder of the delicate balance of power between us. I held something intangible but undeniable, something that gave me an edge, a quiet assurance that Michael was keenly aware of the leverage I possessed. It thrilled me, this invisible bond of control, and I savored every charged moment of it. The dynamic between us had shifted, and I relished the change. For the first time, I felt truly alive, as though I were a player in a game with stakes higher than I had ever imagined. But this wasn't just any game. It was one I felt destined to win. The thrill of being in control coursed through me, fueling my every move. As the months passed, I threw myself into my new role with an unyielding determination. I was determined to prove, not just to others but also to myself, that I had earned this promotion. Every task, no matter how small, became an opportunity to excel. Late nights became routine as I pushed myself to deliver perfection. I wasn't just meeting expectations, I was surpassing them. I wanted my work to be impeccable, a reflection of the commitment and ambition that drove me. With each successfully completed project, a wave of pride washed over me. I was showing everyone, including him, that I wasn't just a lucky recipient of an opportunity. I was a deserving leader, capable of achieving greatness through sheer effort and skill. But beneath the surface of my professionalism, a deeper, more personal satisfaction simmered. Every time I caught him watching me, every compliment or nod of approval, it felt like a silent acknowledgement of my triumph. I had maneuvered my way into this position, and now I was thriving. It was a rush unlike any other, a blend of pride, power, and vindication. Yet, there were fleeting moments of introspection when I wondered if I could have taken a different path. Could I have arrived here through more conventional means? Those doubts were fleeting, dissolving as quickly as they arose. I reminded myself of the competitive world we lived in, where bold decisions often separated success from mediocrity. My choices had led me to this point, and I had no regrets. After all, I had achieved what I set out to do. Looking back, I felt no guilt, only satisfaction. I had claimed control over my life and created opportunities where none existed before. The promotion wasn't merely a career milestone. It was a testament to my ability to navigate challenges and seize the future I wanted. It was proof that I could transform ambition into reality, no matter the odds. As the days turned into weeks, I found joy in my work and excitement in the possibilities ahead. I was charting a course toward a future I had envisioned for myself, one step at a time. Each morning, I woke up energized, ready to tackle new challenges and push myself further. Every effort, every late night, every calculated risk was part of a larger journey, a journey that was entirely my own. The world felt wide open, filled with opportunities waiting to be seized. I was ready to climb higher, embracing each obstacle as a stepping stone to my dreams. This was my path, and I was determined to make the most of it. Whatever lay ahead, I knew I had the strength, resilience, and vision to keep moving forward. Nothing could hold me back now, not hesitation, not fear, and certainly not the past. The future was mine to shape, and I intended to do so boldly.